as Canadians, we want stronger take-home pay, safer streets, solid borders in a self-reliant Canada. We want to restore the promise of this country where anyone who works hard gets affordable food and homes, gets to live on a safe street and own a house. We want to free up money for this affordable Canada by cutting corporate welfare, bureaucracy, consultants, foreign aid, handouts to fake and phony refugees. All of this would help bring down deficits, taxes, and inflation. Our mission, again, is to restore the promise of this country that has been broken. After 11 years of Liberal governments, Canadians cannot afford housing, groceries, and gas. Liberals have doubled our debt, doubled food bank lineups, and doubled housing costs. They gave us the worst growth in the G7 over the last decade and the worst decade of economic growth in Canada's history. Mark Carney supported every single one of these costly, disastrous Liberal policies. And then in the last election, he promised to reverse everything he had said and that his party had done in the prior decade. Yet nothing has changed. Everything is worse. More crime, more costs, more corruption, more of the same. Mark Carney is just another Liberal. Carney Liberals have doubled Trudeau's deficit. This is amazing. No one thought it could get any worse than Justin Trudeau's deficits. Yet Carney's deficit is twice the size of Trudeau's, all because he's increased government spending by 7% year over year. He's added $90 billion of net new spending above and beyond his promised savings, two-thirds of which is going to day-to-day operations and not to capital investment. And C.D. Howe said today, Canada can no longer pride itself on fiscal discipline, end quote. Carney Liberals gave us the worst food inflation in the G7, and yet he had the audacity to claim in the House of Commons last week that affordability is at its best in a decade. Carney Liberals promised to double home building, while his housing agency says it will fall by 18%. Today, Carney was again spreading housing illusions, re-announcing an announcement he made back in December for projects that have still not got underway. All he has built is a new housing bureaucracy, a new agency in Ottawa to sop up tax dollars and block home building. More illusions. A year after Mark Carney promised to build at speeds not seen in generations, his promised pipeline to the Pacific has no permit, no route, no investor, no builder, no start date, no end date, and no oil to put in it. In fact, the only company that says they could potentially build that pipeline, Enbridge, says there won't be enough oil because the Liberal industrial carbon tax will prevent it from ever being produced. He's not negotiated a single free trade agreement. He broke his singular promise from the last election to negotiate a win with the United States by July of last year. Instead, he has done nothing while the Americans have doubled tariffs on aluminum, steel, and other products and tripled them on lumber. No one knows his plans or even his goals. Help me to understand this. Sunday, Mark Carney released a video comparing himself to Sir Isaac Brock, a 19th century war general who fought a war against the Americans. He said in that video that it is a weakness that we trade with the U.S. Today, he said we're stronger together with the Americans. He said recently that he wants a rupture with the U.S., and now he says he thinks we can get a mutually beneficial deal. These are contradictions all in the span of a few days. So which is it? Is it a rupture, or are we stronger together? And why is it that he contradicts himself so wildly? Is it because he doesn't know what he's doing from one day to the next? Or more likely, is it that he's using sensationalist words he does not mean to make headlines distracting from rising costs, crime, and corruption here at home in his own Liberal government? While he plays these games, there's one thing that is certainly rupturing: jobs. Almost a month ago, the U.S. slammed Canada with broadened tariffs. It will cost Windsor $1 billion alone. Yet the Prime Minister has not said or done a single thing about it. Zero, nothing. More ruptured jobs. He says he wants this rupture with the U.S. Does that mean he wants to pull out of the CUSMA? Because that's what a rupture would mean, unless the word was just a meaningless sensationalist slogan. Now, I would ask him that question directly in the House of Commons, but he won't show up for question period, because he knows that he and his agenda are nothing but a grand illusion. As soon as someone asks him a tough question, the illusion collides with reality. And the reality is that he's been wrong on every major economic issue of our time. He was wrong to support a bigger and broader carbon tax. He was wrong to support EV mandates, wrong to say we should keep 50% of our oil in the ground, wrong to support money printing during COVID, wrong to predict that COVID would lead to deflation, rather than inflation, wrong on every major issue of our time, including the Indo-Pacific. One of Mr. Carney's most ridiculous illusions is around trade deals. He has not negotiated a single new free trade deal. And let me say that again. Mark Carney has not negotiated a single new free trade deal. He has signed 20 joint press releases with other countries, many countries that we already had trade deals with before. Nor has his major projects office approved a single major project that would allow us to send more resources to Asia. We need reality and not illusions. Under the previous Conservative government, we were able to sign new free trade deals with 50 countries, including Canada, South Korea. We were able to expand our trade into that region. But we must do better and we must do more, because our trade is still unbalanced with that region. Canada imports 25% of our merchandise imports from South Korea, from that region are coming into our country, but only 10% of our exports go in the other direction. We can do better. And that's why it's my pleasure to announce today that Shaq Howe, Member of Parliament, trade practitioner, and geopolitical expert, will serve as chair of the Conservative Party Pacific Gateway Economic Engagement Caucus with the following mandate: develop a comprehensive Conservative strategic plan for the Asia-Pacific, develop policy ideas for maximizing our exports to the region, including by approving pipelines and LNG plants, protect Canada's security interests, form a dedicated team of our Conservative shadow ministers to build out this policy, support planning for future Conservative missions to the Indo-Pacific, and publish his findings in a comprehensive report by the end of this year. Shaq Howe has a strong and consistent record in this area. He has led numerous cultural, strategic, and humanitarian missions to the region. He has engaged with China, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Cambodia, and Taiwan. He's also played a very important role in developing air links between Vancouver and the Far East to deepen economic and tourism ties. We look forward to your work, Shaq Howe, and congratulations. Another major issue in British Columbia is property rights and home ownership. The Cowichan Tribes versus Canada decision is a foundational shift in property rights for our country. It threatens home ownership of thousands of people by prioritizing Aboriginal title over private property rights. One company was unable to receive $100 million of financing recently because lenders were not sure of the collateral as a result of this ruling. If other groups making similar claims are successful in reaching the Cowichan threshold, it could threaten every single British Columbia homeowner, because there are claims on the entire province, and those claims are not ceded by treaties. The Liberals have worsened this problem by signing the Musqueam Rights Recognition Agreement in secret, without property rights protections, proper transparency, or consultation with other First Nations. That agreement covers 533,000 hectares of British Columbia territory, including Metro Vancouver and the Richmond lands at the centre of the Cowichan dispute. Mark Carney has failed in this area. He signed on to this agreement without protecting property rights, and two, he has kept in place a 2018 directive that forbids federal lawyers from defending property rights in the Cowichan appeal or anywhere else. This is a major failure of leadership. And by the way, where is Mark Carney on this? This is a federal lawsuit where the federal government is the defendant. And yet the federal prime minister has done and said nothing since August, while landowners don't know what their rights are, and many fear they're going to lose their homes. That is why we as Conservatives are stepping up to fill the void that Mark Carney has left. I'm announcing today that I will be naming Teiko Van Popta as the chair of the Conservative Task Force on Property Rights, with a particular focus on the Cowichan ruling, the Musqueam Agreement, and other Aboriginal title disputes and negotiations. In this role, he will examine and bring to light the extent to which recent legal interpretations and federal arguments have eroded property rights and reconciliation. He will explore legislative and constitutional options necessary to protect property rights and home ownership. He will also build out the existing Conservative policy on this, which includes putting property rights first in the Cowichan case by arguing that it has priority over all other titles, and reversing the Liberal current position which directs lawyers to not to defend property rights. He will also put forward the argument that no further treaties should be signed that do not include explicit property rights protections. We will also be pushing for a parliamentary committee to examine all of these matters on an urgent basis. As a real estate and land development lawyer for over 30 years and a director of the Surrey Board of Trade and the Downtown Surrey Business Improvement Area, no one is more qualified than Taco to take on this task. He's also a managing partner at a firm that he was at for decades before getting elected, which focuses on land-related legal matters in the Lower Mainland. And so congratulations, Taco. I know you'll do a great job. Again, our mission is a Canada where hard work pays off, where people have affordable food and homes, where young people can actually own homes, where our streets are safe, our economy is strong. We want a Canada with stronger take-home pay, safer streets, solid borders, in a self-reliant nation. Thank you very much.